like inside, internally, I wanted to be okay with the fact that I thought differently. And that was really hard for me to do.
Welcome to the Soul Script podcast. Here we explore how to unlock the power of our story. Our journey here on earth can be one of deep passion, intentional creation, and personal transformation. The only thing holding us back is our stories. Come and join me as we rewrite and reignite.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Soul Script podcast. I'm your host, Lara Titanser, and today I want to share with you about a time that I was really scared to think differently, to be different. And this honestly, let's just be real. This has been like a lifelong thing for me. And I want to say probably more than most people. And I was sick of it. And it was really coming up very acutely because I was not in alignment with the teachings of the church that I was attending. And so I was at church and feeling like I was different and that the things that I thought were different. And I knew that they were, but I wanted it to be okay, like inside, internally. I wanted to be okay with the fact that I thought differently. And that was really hard for me to do. Now, granted, probably some of that is because of the teachings in the church that I grew up in are very much like your authority is outside of you. And so the idea that I could have an internal authority, one that was different than somebody else's authority, was really, really hard to wrap my mind around. And church during this time, I wasn't really attending because I was highly interested in what the lessons were saying. I was attending because my husband wanted to go, because I wasn't sure what else to do. And so frequently my time would be spent like doing internal work. I thought, well, I'll bring a journal. I can journal. I can talk to God, converse with God while I'm sitting there in sacrament meeting. And so one day I was sitting on a pew in church and it was very apparent to me how different I was and that I wanted to be okay being different. And so I thought, well, Lara, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about this? Because either you can conform and feel yucky about that, or you can feel different or be different and stay feeling yucky about that, or maybe we can learn to be okay being different and thinking differently. Well, in true Lara fashion, I'm like, let's try to embody this in some characters. Because I'm like, I love movies, I love stories, I love books. And one of the main reasons why I love these things is because we can see qualities in a character that we love, and we can see how they act out on a page or act out on the screen. And it speaks to our nervous system differently than it would speak to our minds if I were to just read about, here are, ways to not care what other people think. And so I'm like, let's try to see if I can visualize a character that I want to embody that has these characteristics, that doesn't care what other people think, and that is strong and independent and has their own internal authority rather than looking for an external validation of their quest or who they are. And the first one that came to my mind was actually Lara Croft. Now, the reason why Lara Croft came to my mind is not because I had watched Tomb Raider. I actually had never seen Tomb Raider before this point. I have seen it since, and since watching it, I'm like, oh, I really need to specify what I mean when I say Lara Croft, because like Lara Croft in Tomb Raider is not necessarily the, vibe I'm going for. What I'm going for is Lara Croft as little Lara. Young Lara knew her when the computer game came out, and I watched my dad playing. And of course, as a young girl, you're like, oh, she shares my same name. And I remember just watching this computer character who was strong and independent and adventurous and thinking, ooh, maybe little Lara can be strong and independent and adventurous. So I've always kind of had this connection with Lara Croft. She's very confident. But I did know okay, she doesn't, embody all of the qualities that I'm really thinking of here. What's somebody else that maybe we can morph and we could take from one and add and, sample. I'm going to sample from these different characters that I like. And the next one that came to my mind was actually Lily. And Lily is played by Emily Blunt in the movie Jungle Cruise. Now, if you haven't seen Jungle Cruise, you should it's worth the time to go see Jungle Cruise, and especially just to observe this character of Lily. She definitely has her own internal authority. She's a woman who lives during a time when, it's not right to wear pants, and she had to bring her brother in to get the funding because they're not going to fund a woman. And she is on a quest to find something that nobody else believes exists. And that resonated really deep with me. She was on a quest to find something that nobody else believed in her, but her belief, she had such strong conviction that she was willing to go forward even when things got rocky and nobody believed her, and she had every opportunity to turn around, and it would have been way easier to turn around. She moved forward. And so I'm like, all right, I really am liking this woman. I like the qualities that she has. Let's combine them with a little bit of Lara Croft, because why not? I think my internal, young Lara, if we're talking parts work, like an IFS system, there was a young Lara that really wanted Lara Croft to be included in this. And so I'm sitting in the pew at church thinking about these characters, and I'm like, wait, we could take this a step farther. And so I asked AI to create an image for me that was a combination of Lara Croft, Lily, and Lara, myself. And after a few tries, it came out with something that I actually was like, yeah, that's pretty darn good. And what this image ended up being was just this symbolic representation to me of this person that I was trying to step into, but I don't even know if it was trying to step into. It was more qualities that I already possessed that I was trying to pull out of myself. And I was trying to practice being that version of myself. So I end up taking this picture, this AI generated picture, and putting it as my backdrop on my phone so that I could have this daily reminder of what it was, the feeling that I was trying to embody. And so what would happen, actually kind of cool, it turned into this kind of daily practice where if I found myself following old patterns that I didn't want to follow anymore. The patterns of being scared and looking for authority outside of myself, validation, not being very confident, not feeling very safe being myself. I would look at this picture and I would remember these qualities and this feeling of these women that I wanted to embody. And I would take a second to like recenter and remember what they felt like and what it feels like in my body to make decisions from that place. And I practiced making decisions and thinking from that place of being. And eventually, as I practiced more and more and more, I didn't have to go back and have that visual reminder as often. The picture wasn't as jarring to me. It was like, that's me. I'm stepping more and more into this version of me. I will say that it definitely became a conversation piece with people. And there was a part of me that was a little embarrassed to have this picture on my phone because people would look at it and they would be like, "Oh, who's that?" And I would be like, "Well, it's me," or a version of me that I'm trying to step into. And if they were willing to listen, I would explain the whole thing to them, which definitely took a degree of vulnerability in and of itself by being like, "Hey, I'm kind of quirky and weird, and this is how I want to process." And so go there with me. And so that actually became a practice in and of itself too, was not just a personal reminder for me, but also like, yeah, this is me. I'm somebody who makes AI images of women that I want to try to embody. And that was a practice. And I don't even know if I fully realized that until this point, that that was actually important for me as well, is to practice being okay having that on my phone, and if somebody asked a question, that I was going to answer it. Well, it was about a year or so after having this picture on my phone that I had the opportunity to go on a trip that included a few days in Cambodia. Now, the reason why this is significant is because Cambodia has a whole bunch of ancient ruins. Oh my gosh, so cool. And one of these ancient ruins is actually the film location for Tomb Raider, where they filmed Lara Croft. And I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of really fun that I get to go to this place where this character, took place. I don't know how to say it any better than that. That wasn't said very well, but there was something significant about it for me. And when we landed in Cambodia, man, you guys, I was like, the energy of this jungle and this adventure is so me. And maybe it's because I had practiced stepping into that adventurous, courageous woman who would thrive in a place like that, right? Well, when we were touring the temples, I told Andrew, my husband, that he had to take a picture of me that looked like this picture, this AI picture. So I had on a hat that was somewhat similar to the one that was generated in the AI photo, and somewhat similar clothes, somewhat similar environment, and it was the same pose at this temple. And he took this picture of me, and it was so deeply symbolic for me. I love symbolism. I love it when symbolism shows up in the real world, when the world is synchronized, and just those little moments that just are like, just so beautiful. I had practiced stepping into this version of me. And then I got to stand there in that environment and have this like very physical, symbolic representation of, Lara, you did the work. I now choose, at that point, I was choosing to be that version of me more than I wasn't. And I could feel it resonate in my body as I sat there and I reflected on it. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Kind of just staring up at all of these crazy roots growing all over this amazing temple and thinking, that actually worked. That actually worked. Now, I thought that was the end of the journey there, the end of the story. But what I didn't realize is that I had one more opportunity to put this in practice, to put these new patterns and new choices into practice. We were there with a whole bunch of people. We were there with a whole group of people, and they all knew that I was taking these photos, and they all knew the story. And I found myself explaining to them and wanting them to understand, and then also questioning in my mind, am I allowed to say that I have stepped into this woman? I don't know. Are they going to judge me? Like all of these old patterns started coming up. And then I just thought in that moment, it's okay if they don't understand. It's okay if they don't get my process. It's okay if they don't know where I'm at. It's okay if they have judgment towards what I'm doing. And it was like this little mini exercise, this one last little mini exercise for me in this chapter of my life of saying, it doesn't matter. And it was beautiful. Such a cool moment for me. Now, I still get to choose whether I want to step into that version of me. And at any point, I may step out of her. And at any point, those old patterns can come back. Because all of these parts live within me. The part that's terrified of being judged still lives within me. But also, this other version of me lives within me. And sometimes I have to come back to center, and I have to remember I choose to function from her, from this part of me. And so my question for you, if there's any question at all, is what part of you is just asking to be embraced and is asking to be embodied? And maybe you want to pick out some characters from a movie or a book to help you do that and to help you see, oh, that's what it feels like. That's what it sounds like. That's what it looks like to function from that place more often than I function from a different place. So that's my story for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I enjoyed being here with you today, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a little inspiration. Your support makes a world of difference. Until next time, keep rewriting and reigniting your story.